was at the gym this morning, and I had one of my co-workout buddies. She was telling me how she had like food poisoning and then something else, some sort of life-threatening disease. I wasn't paying attention when she was talking because I didn't give a shit. But she was telling me about this life-threatening disease and how she had the food poisoning. I'm like, oh, that sucks. She's like, yeah, I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy. And I'm thinking, like, are you shitting me? Like, your worst enemy, I would wish the worst possible things upon my worst enemy. Anytime somebody ever says, I would never wish this upon my worst enemy, I'm thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? I work in the service industry, and the number of times I've wished strokes upon people, 83 times. I mean, that's just off the top of my head. I mean, I'm sure it's more, but God, I don't take anybody serious whenever they say, like, I don't wish this upon my worst enemy. Like, I wish the worst upon my worst enemy because they're my worst enemy. What do they do to you? Oh, they cut me off at a red light. Like, really? No, I've wished AIDS and death and strokes and, come on. You're not, if you have food poisoning and you don't wish that upon your worst enemy, you're lying. Absolutely. That's a fucking absolute lie. Let's see here. I might be too drunk to do that one, but I'll get to the end. I've got a friend. He was a coworker, and I came into him. I said that wrong. Sorry. That sounds very bad. I came across to him telling a friend sounds really awful. Came across him telling another coworker a story about how him and his boyfriend were having butt sex. And I came in like halfway through the conversation, but I remember her saying like, ew, wouldn't that hurt? And then he's like, well, no, not if you're gay. And like, sweetheart, you have to understand, you don't have a prostate. And she's like, oh. And then I heard the tail end of this conversation, so I'm sitting there like, oh. And he's like, don't knock it till you try it. And so I was like home later, I was taking a shower, and I have one of those handles that's like this, and I'm like, and I was taking a shower, and I did like one of those, so I was like taking a shower, I'm like, And I looked at it, I'm like, that's stupid. And then the whole thought was, don't knock it until you try it. I'm like a cat taking a shit, just like a. No, not for me. I'm not gonna do that one. Not for me. Can't do it. Mm-mm. So when the elections were going on, I saw a bunch of protesters out over here, especially in Ashland, but a few of them in Medford. And whenever like any political things going on, I always see protesters, and like, I don't get it. Like, I understand the idea of protesting, I get it, but the idea of holding a sign for hours on end in the heat or the fucking cold and rain is like, yeah, I'm gonna sit here for 9 hours and not work. I called in sick so I can hold a sign so you can laugh at me. Are you fucking kidding me? I saw this lady one time, and I was driving down the road, and it was when when it was down to Trump and Clinton, and she had a sign. This fat, obese piece of shit, just sitting there on the side of the road. Yeah, who gives a shit, fuck her. Anyways, she's sitting there holding this sign, and it said, "This pussy fights back." And she was wearing a very ill-fitting shirt. I'm like, ugh, god damn it, really? Who's taking you seriously? What are you doing? Like, the only thing that pussy has fought back is everything you've tried to put inside of it. Like, that's just a fucking nightmare. What a gross critter sitting there. No, you scoff at that one, stop it. We all know she's good. If you would have seen her, you'd be like, ew. But you won't admit it, it's fine. So, let's see here. What am I doing? So I've got a deaf niece, and I was in Texas recently, and my she's 21 now. But when I met her, she was 7. Anyways, I've got 2 older brothers. My middle brother never bothered to learn any sign language, and I did to communicate with her. And he was asking me one day, because she was staying at his place for like a week, and he was asking me, he was like, Nick, how do you say, what do you want for dinner? And so immediately I'm thinking like, okay, let's think of something awful to say, so I can communicate it to her. So I tell him basically, I tell him how like, I like to sit on dicks, which is dicks. So you do it through your cheek. It's kind of a weird way. So he goes over and he communicates that with her, and she starts laughing. He's like, why is she laughing? I just asked her what she wants for dinner. I'm like, maybe, or maybe she's laughing like, what the fuck did you just tell me to like ask her? I'm like, oh, that you like to sit on dicks. He's like, you piece of shit. And he's got 2 little kids right in front of him. I'm like, well, they don't know sign language. Maybe you better teach them so they know. Let's see, I think I got 2 more. Oh, I got 1 more, I think. Let's see here. Okay. So I've got a religious friend, and he's constantly trying to get me to go to church and stuff. And he was always like playing around with he's like, hey, you want to go to church? Nah, not for me. I grew up Catholic, and it never appealed to me. Even when I was younger, I'm like, why am I being forced to this place? And I had to go to like the little class after church. I'd go sit there, and some priest would come in and give all of us hugs, and I was the only one that was hesitant. Like, why am I giving this old guy a hug? This is weird. Father John, and I'm not making that up. Father John just like, Father John wants to give you a hug. I'm like, this is fucking weird. Like 10 years old, I'm like, I don't want to give this fucking guy a hug. He's in a black robe. I don't know what's going on here. But this is weird. And everything an adult says when you're younger is like gospel. Like, oh, what's why does God exist? I'm like trees and plants. I'm like, and that was the first time I ever it clicked. I'm like, that doesn't fucking make sense. The trees and plants, don't you just grow those? I mean, I know you can plant seeds and it's fine, but it never really clicked with me until I was older, and then I took some, I figured it out. It just wasn't for me, religion in general. But I've got a friend. He still pushes on me every once in a while, and then he finally one day he was like, Nick, why don't you believe in God? I'm like, fucking 2 reasons: child molesters and retarded kids. I mean, I just find it hard. Silence. I love it. I was like, oh God, but no. I mean, seriously though, it's I find it hard to believe God's up there just creating everything, the universe and all the plants and animals and gays and child molesters and whatnot. Except probably shouldn't have said gays because I'm totally on board with the gays. Anyways. So I find it hard to believe he's up there just oh, that guy's about to molest that little kid, but I'm not going to do anything about it because free will. Ooh. Oh well, he's going to have at it. And then retarded kids. I mean, ultimately, I find it hard to believe there's a God up there. He's like, hey, you know what? Listen, I'm in a good mood. I just created Africa, and then everything that's going wrong with there. And let's just throw another extra chromosome to this kid. Oh my God. I didn't know that was going to happen. Let's make 10,000 more of these every year across the world. Yeah, doesn't click with me. I don't know. So I gave him that. He was so hurt by that. I'm like, I'm joking. I mean, I mean it, but I'm also joking. Mostly. I totally mean it. But oh well. It's probably not a good way to end, but I'm gonna end there.